Yo, it's your boy TTK and we're back with another Pokemon video. Today we're going to be going over BDSP because everyone in the community has forgotten about BDSP. It was that interesting time in Generation 8 where, you know, Sword and Shield came out and then everyone was hyped for Gen 4 remakes. We played Gen 4 remakes and it mainly came down to the quality of the games is why people don't really rate BDSP. But obviously, I was a pretty big player in terms of the BDSP community, making sure it existed, you know, towards the end of the 8th generation. And, you know, there's been a lot of funny things that have been happening with BDSP. Like, we didn't have a Premier League this year, but we did still have usage, viability-based tiering for BDSP because at a certain point we were just like, cool, we're gonna have to sort out the rest of these tiers because you know, there was a ladder for BDSP at the time, but obviously, like towards the end of the lifespan, the ladder was pretty much dead. So the usage stats really messed up a lot of the tiering for BDSP. So, you know, we wanted to sort it out basically. So we decided to start with BDSP UU, you know, have some mons rise to OU, drop to UU, and so on. We did that for all these tiers, and to be fair, it took like a year and a half, I think, to actually fully sort everything out. So we finally arrived at PU. And yeah, this is the last tier for BDSP. So I'm just gonna be talking to you guys about how BDSP PU looks now, and then yeah, that's just basically it for BDSP. Most of these tiers are gonna be I mean, I'm pretty sure all of these tiers are gonna be staying the same unless anything drastic changes, but at this point we're not having a Premier League, so like the metas are pretty much just gonna stay the same. But before we get into discussing the BDSP PU drops, I just want you guys to know, consider subscribing to the channel, join the kingdom if you're new to the channel. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2025, and I want to thank you guys for all the support. The channel is going to be going through evolution, and I'm ready. Like, I'm excited to be delivering all of this content to you. But either way, let's get into the team builder now. Funnily enough, if you guys didn't know, if you've had a former builder on Pokemon Showdown, and obviously BDSP PU is no longer on Showdown, but if you keep teams from that format when it was around, you can actually still keep the builder on your system, which is actually pretty nice. Obviously, I've had my PC for, you know, almost 10 years at this point, so yeah, I'm able to keep my older teams from when they were around. But either way, this is what BDSP PU looks like, and to be fair, I might need to get this on another screen because like, this is the advantage of me recording on my PC now, is that I'm back to 2 monitors, so I can look on one and focus on the main one. But either way, so the drops that we had a bomber, no, I mean, to be fair, from PU ban list, we had a bomber slow to PU, Kangaskhan to no, a bomber slow to NU, Kangaskhan to NU, Ludicolo to NU, Smeagol, Sneasel, and Gorobis. And to be fair, these guys were on the PU ban list, and even if they didn't rise, we were not introducing them back into the metagame. They were obviously broken mons. But the more important thing here is the mons that we lost. And to be fair, PU lost a lot of Pokemon that were actually quite meta defining, and I realized that I'm probably going to need a box for this because I have more than 6 months to talk about. So let's look at it now. We got Glaceon, P2 aka Porygon 2, the GOAT, Poliwrath Rose, what else, Leafeon. I think we have about, like, how many mons is this? Seven Pokemon that actually rose. So we have Whiscash, Weezing, Bellossom, and what do you call it, Kadabra and Victory Bell. So yeah, all of these mons were quite integral parts of the PU metagame. And to be fair, I'm happy some of them have left us. But yeah, let's begin with Glaceon. Now, Glaceon, if you like, I always like bringing comparisons between BDSP and DPP metagame, like Gen 4, just because obviously BDSP is the Gen 4 remake, and you know, is its own twist on the DPP metagames. Now, Glaceon, I'm pretty sure, was a NU Pokemon in DPP, or even UU, to be honest, but there's a lot of things that have changed for Glaceon going into BDSP compared to DPP. For example, as Freeze Dry and Ice Beam, this is pretty much like very hard to wall unless you have a Steel type Pokemon realistically. It had Shadow Ball, and it typically just run choice specs. It was a very tough Pokemon to switch into. Realistically, the only good check to Glaceon was Probopass, but even then, Glaceon had Water Pulse to hit that super effectively. Like, Water Pulse is a weak move, but Glaceon is still quite a strong Pokemon. So yeah, we're gonna miss its strong wall breaking potential. P2, on the other hand, you're probably wondering, how does P2 function in a tier without Eviolite? Well, P2 was still a pretty solid Pokemon in DPP without Eviolite. Like, its bulk, like, if you deep it, like, BDSP was like reverse power creep in a way. Like, obviously you had Fairy type introduced and a lot of like older Pokemon getting new moves that they've had in modern generations, but P2's bulk is still quite good without Eviolite, so obviously it's still thrived quite well, either running trace or download, even analytic if you wanted to go offensive P2 sets. And yeah, it pretty much just has everything that it typically does. You have T-Bolt or Discharge, Bolt Beam combination of attacks, you have recovery, and then obviously you're missing a move like Toxic, for example, but at this point, like, P2 didn't really need any of that. You could go T-Wave, but to be fair, Discharge would be doing T-Wave's job. So you could just go Tri-Attack as Stab, and then it was typically specially defensive because it could somewhat handle Glaceon and some of our other special attackers that we had in the tier. But yeah, P2 was missed, and you just took a lot of our Pokemon. And to be fair, part of me can say that the ladder usage stats when BDSP was the current format going on kind of messed up PU, because most of these mons were actually NU level, like Glaceon and Porygon 2 and Whiscash even. Whiscash not being in the lowest tier is probably going to be surprising some people, to be honest. But yeah, Whiscash typically was a actually defensive threat. And you know his peak when Whiscash is actually a defensive threat. But, you know, when you actually have Scald as a defensive water type, you know, Whiscash can actually do some things here. Oblivious is also a very useful ability to prevent Taunt. And obviously it didn't get rocks and spikes like it does in Scarlet and Violet, but, you know, it was typically just an annoying ass Pokemon to deal with. Like, just go like specially defensive as well. Had Earth Power. You could go Dragon Dance sets, but even in PU, Dragon Dance Whiscash was pretty easy to wall. So, you know, not that hard. Poliwrath here, on the other hand, Poliwrath was low-key annoying. I felt like I'm happy Poliwrath left, because it was like one of those Pokemon where it was just annoying to switch into. Like, we have such little responses to like water fighting coverage in the tier, and you know, Probopass was like the most common Pokemon, and Poliwrath would just take advantage of that very easily. Its physical sets would beat things like Mach. It could even go special as well to punish grass type switch-ins. And yeah, you never really knew what Poliwrath was going to do until it did it, and it was just kind of annoying to deal with. Leafeon as well, another key defensive threat in the tier, which was also a pretty solid win con in its own right. Like, Leafeon had like pretty much one of the highest speed tiers in the format. As you can see, Leafeon's base 95, and it was pretty much faster than Chatot, Luminion, Vigoroth, for example. Vigoroth's not a real Pokemon. I didn't even know why I mentioned Vigoroth, but you know, faster than Mischievous, Monferno, Goodbye, and SD. Leafeon was quite a scary Pokemon, and I still never understand why Leaf Blade is in usually useless moves, but that's neither here or there. Yeah, so typically just run Synthesis here, Leaf Blade Double Edge. It got the job done most of the time. At least like the most common Steel type was neutral to Grass, Probopass, so you know, Leafeon had a pretty good chance there. You could go Lumberry, and yeah, it was a fun Pokemon to use. I'm gonna miss it as well. Yeah, because we really have no Grass types, and Water types are gonna start dominating again, but what can we do about that? Weezing, on the other hand, when we first got Weezing, what do you call it? We were struggling for Dugtrio switch-ins, I'll be honest. Like, we had Leafeon, of course, but, you know, we needed some other Pokemon to deal with Dugtrio, and Weezing was the perfect Pokemon for that, because, you know, it has Levitate as a poison type, so it was immune. It got Will-O-Wisp, and it just checked every single physical attack in the tier quite effectively. Like, Weezing was quite a good Pokemon. Even had Toxic. Like, it was one of the few Pokemon that kept Toxic in BDSP, so you could either go Will-O-Wisp Toxic, Sludge Bomb, had Pain Split, of course, and then you could go like Flamethrower. You could go Pains. I already put Pain Split, my bad. You could go Toxic Spikes as well, and yeah, just go Max Defense, because that's all Weezing was doing. Blossom, on the other hand, this was probably the most controversial Pokemon in BDSP PU, just because of the fact that bulky Quiver Dance sets could actually 1v. Like, it actually got to the point where we had Muck in the tier, but at the same time, like, you would go Quiver Dance, Safeguard, Giga Drain, and Strength Sap, and Muck would actually just lose. It was actually insane, because you'd have enough speed. Like, you could even just forego the speed and maximize your bulk, of course, because Muck is still hitting you super effectively, but yeah, non-curse muck would just straight up lose to Blossom, which was actually insane. And obviously, any poison type could deal with it, because as you can see, its coverage is pretty much non-existent, no hidden power, and you have grass, poison, and fairy coverage, which of course are all ruled by poison type Pokemon. So yeah, either way, Blossom was a pretty controversial Pokemon. I'm also happy he's gone. And then like Kadabra is probably the last Pokemon that I'm happy is also gone, because all this mon would do, like, it would T-Wave, it would Encore, like, it legitimately only had, like, Probopass as a common switch-in, and even then, you could taunt Probopass, so it wouldn't actually be able to do anything, and then, yeah, Kadabra was just a hard Pokemon to deal with, Knockoff, Encore, you know, it never actually died in one hit, because it would always keep its Sash, and then, yeah, it was also one of the fastest Pokemon in the format, like, there was only, like, these guys outspeeding it, like, look at the 110 guys, like these were the only Pokemon outspeeding. And to be fair, some of these were good in the metagame, like Floatzel and Dodrio and Dugtrio, obviously, but again, it would survive on the focus. Like, if you had a Ninjask, then yeah, you were applying a lot of pressure, but obviously Ninjask in a tier without heavy duty boots, you know, keep rocks up, and Ninjask is a dead mon. And then last mon was Victory Bell. Also a pretty solid Pokemon, a lot of versatility as well. Either it'll go SD, it would go like Fizz Dash, Strength Sap with you know, it had Sleep Powder as well, so yeah, it'll just be able to do that. But either way, those are all the mons that we lost. But yeah, let's look at the mons that we gained on the other hand. To be fair, it doesn't make up for the amount of loss that we had, but we did get a lot of fun looking Pokemon as well. So yeah, let's look into it. So the first one we got was Drifblim. Again, this is, I was gonna say it's in alphabetical order, but Ditto came after Drifblim, which is incorrect. Anyway, I'm just looking at the post that what do you call it, was made about this. So yeah, Jolteon was next, and then Torkoal and Sandslash. So yeah, cool. So let's begin with Drifblim here. And Drifblim, I think Drifblim is gonna be a scary ass Pokemon. I don't think it'll be broken, but anything with Unburden in such a lower level format is always going to pop off, I feel. Like, to be fair, we were playing some test games. This was the set I was going. Citrus, Unburden, Calm Mind, Shadow Ball, T-Bolt, and Strength Sap. Also one of Drifblim's new tools in this modern iteration of a DPP format. And yeah, I think I ran like Timid, so I could outspeed every Scarfer like this. And then I'd go either max special attack or max defense. You probably want max defense, because this thing is not bulky in the slightest, even with the 150 HP stat. Like, you could probably just get away with this. It might not do as much damage instantly, but you're a lot bulkier. It means that you have longer longevity. You get down to Citrus Berry, boom, Unburden activates, and you just proceed to set up. And to be fair, there isn't much that's stopping Drifblim once it does set up. But outside of the Unburden wing cons, you could obviously do its traditional Flame Orb Flare Boost set, which no one actually has used ever, but like in a serious tier. Like, I can't recall any tier that Drifblim's been in where Flame Orb Flare Boost was actually the main set in a post-Gen 5, but you know, that's just how it is, innit? But yeah, as you can see, Drifblim does not have access to Air Slash in BDSP, so you're kind of down bad for your stab options. But regardless of that, I guess you could run Psychic over Calm Mind, but to be fair, I think Shadow Bolt plus T-Bolt gets the job done anyway, so I suppose you can just go Calm Mind here. But I guess if you want to hit Poison type super effectively, Psychic is there, and then I think Strength Sap, you always want Strength Sap, so yeah, you'll just go max attack, max special attack, max speed, and then yeah, that's just doing a lot of damage. Ditto on the other hand is just Ditto. There's not much I can really say about it. Like, PU is somewhat offensive, so Ditto could always have a niche, but again, it's just Ditto, so we all know what Ditto does, so there's not much. I'm not going to say he's going to be an impactful drop for the tier, but it's alright. And then we have Rhydon here. Now, Rhydon is a big hitter, very scary Pokemon. A lot of us, we were discussing about how his SD sets kind of just pop off and like can actually kill things, especially with Rock Polish as well, so you'd have Rock Polish SD. Typical Rhydon. This is what Rhydon's been doing since freaking like 3rd gen. So, you know, it's just what it's used to doing. Doesn't have heavier light, obviously, but yeah, this is all it really needs to do, and it can be quite scary. Like, the only ride-on check that this tier really has in terms of his SD sets are like, you know, Tangela, you can take +2 Stone Edge. Assuming it's not like Life Orb Adamant, you can actually take +2 Stone Edge. but it also has access to Mega Horn, which obviously you can't run with 2 setting up moves. But if you are SD3 attacks, Tangler will just lose. But a lot of people have been like making sure the Tangler's speed creep Rhydon, which is actually insane work, to be honest, because you actually need a decent amount of speed investment to get to 196 here. So yeah, you're cutting a lot into your bulk at that point. But yeah, Rhydon definitely, I believe Rhydon's the best drop that we have. It's the most threatening one for sure. But I think top 3 is Drifblim, Rhydon, Sandslash for sure. The rest are just kind of whatever. Shiftry though, I think Shiftry is versatile enough to get the job done in this tier, especially nasty plot sets. I think this thing has a lot going for it in terms of nasty plot. You have nasty plot, Giga Drain, Focus Blast, and Dark Pulse that gets the job done. Dark Pulse, no, Focus Blast is very important for Oko and Probopass very quickly. Only issue with Shiftry is kinda that, like, to be fair, the defensive water types are not switching into Shiftry well. To be fair, like Luminion and Pelipper are quite solid Pokemon in this tiers. And to be fair, like you could say Luminion has U-turn to Oko Shiftry, but at the same time, Luminion's not fast. It's either going Fizz Def or Spadef, and then +2 Giga Drain is going to kill that anyway. So yeah, Shiftry might actually be a pretty solid win con in the tier. Also has access to Swords Dance as well, so if you want to actually get past the special walls, you can do that. Unfortunately, Shiftry doesn't have access to knockoff in BDSP, so his best stab move here is Night Slash, which is amazing stuff to be honest, but at least you get priority Sucker Punch, and then you have Leaf Blade as stab. And yeah, we have basically what do you call it, SD Leafeon back in action, but obviously Leafeon is strong at 110 attack versus Shiftry's base 100, but this is still no slouch in the damage department. +2 Sucker Punch still does a lot of damage. So yeah, either way, I think this is what Shiftry has going for it. You could also just go like a defog set, kind of like what people used to run in like ZU back in the day, like Gen 7. Yeah, you'll just have defog, but I do think the offensive sets are probably the most important ones, because like I think Shiftry lost like a good amount of its defensive checks. Like, you thing is, Probopass gets body press. I think it's one of the only few Pokemon that get body press. Yeah, so obviously Shiftry is gonna die to that, but it's like you probably don't want to fit Brick Break on this. Like, Probopass is still probably 2-hit killed by Leaf Blade, but outside of that, yeah, the Pelipper will take 1 Leaf Blade, obviously. If it's special Shiftry, you're just going to click Dark Pulse and Oko that at +2. And yeah, I just think Shiftry is going to be pretty tough to switch into in general, both physical and special attack. Jolteon, on the other hand, is probably the worst drop we have, which is insane to me, because saying it's worse than Ditto is insane. But the issue with Jolteon is that in BDSP, is basically Regieleki. It literally has no moves. It has like 0 moves. And to be fair, I'll give it benefit of the doubt. Jolteon does get Shadow Ball, which the Regieleki doesn't have. Regieleki either has to rely on Ancient Power or Swift as coverage. So to be fair, Ghost Electric coverage is not bad. So I'll give Jolteon the benefit of the doubt there. But like, you're down in PU for a reason. Like, Jolteon started off in RU and then slowly just kept dropping, just because like it's not good. Like, you have Manetric in the same tier, which actually has coverage as well. Like, to be fair, like the Electrics not having hidden power obviously hurts their like ways of hitting ground types, but Manetric still has Overheat, which is gonna do good damage to Sandslash, for example, which is gonna become the premier ground type Pokemon. And Manetric also has good utility in Switcheroo. So yeah, Jolteon is just completely outclassed. It's even outclassed by Raichu, which we've banned because Raichu was absolutely stupid. But yeah, just imagine Jolteon with like actual coverage to hit ground types, and that's why Raichu was too much for the tier. So yeah, Jolteon is perfectly contained. We have enough ground types, and even though Rhydon has no Spadef, like, to be fair, Choice Spec Shadow Ball is gonna do a lot of damage to that guy. So I might have to respect Jolteon just a little bit, but it's gonna be way too prediction heavy, because it's pretty much gonna have to click Shadow Ball every single time on the incoming ground type. And then we also have good normal types in the tier as well. So yeah, we can definitely play around Jolteon for sure. Torkoal, another spinner, doesn't have Drought, but you know, it does have access to Rapid Spin, Shell Smash if you want to get a bit funny. Even though I don't even think Torkoal's that fast. Well, obviously he's not that fast, that's base 20 speed, bro. But 152 times 2, that's 304. That doesn't even outspeed base 90s. Like, that does not even outspeed base 90s. Like, what is, like, Murkrow is still faster than you. Chatot is still faster than you. That is quite a sad reality that Torkoal lives in. But I do think for Trick Room teams that if you want to give PU Trick Room a shot, Torkoal is there. Unfortunately, he doesn't have Drought, so it's not like you can go Drought Eruption Choice Specs, which is where most of your damage is coming from. But either way, yeah, Torkoal is still just a fat defensive Pokemon. Has some good moves going for it. No Earth Power though, which is quite a shame, but Rock Spin, it'll be a decent one. And then finally Sand Slash, this is going to be the premier Rapid Spinner. Has SD, has Stone Edge, Earthquake, Stealth Rocks. A lot of people were testing Sand as well, and to be fair, you're probably wondering, the only Sand setters in the 4th gen were Hippopotas and Hippowdon, and obviously Hippowdon is not chilling in PU whatsoever, but yeah, Hippopotas is the main Sand setter for Sand Slash, and to be fair, this is actually quite a dangerous Pokemon on the Sand. It is like one of the only weathers, like Bomber Snow is no longer PU, it was PU ban list, but yeah, weather just pretty much goes uncontested, and Sand Slash can actually outspeed everything, can also kill everything as well, but yeah, has Poison Jab to hit Tangler and Grass types, and yeah, I think Life Orb should get the job done, and yeah, that is it for the BDSP PU drops. I was gonna show you guys some replays, but I couldn't find the replays. Like everyone privated their replays for some reason. I really don't know why, but yeah, that is it. Let me know down below what your thoughts on BDSP is, to be honest, because a lot of people, like some people on my channel subscribe for BDSP, but it's been like 3 years since BDSP was actually relevant, so a lot of people probably forgot about it. But if you did find this video interesting, you saw a different dynamic to like tiering that you've never seen before, just let me know down below. I would like to read some of your comments. But either way, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.